Hey guys and gals, today let's chat about the DJI Air 2 with a Fly More bundle and a smart controller. I just got it in the mail, and you and I together are going to unbox this bad boy and see exactly what we get. And then we'll fool around with, the initial startup and updating, that kind of stuff. I'll try to condense it a little bit, but, the good stuff we're going to do together. Here's the box, as always, beautifully packaged by DJI. It's just wonderful. I'm not going to skimp on any of the unboxing, because I know you guys love this stuff just like I do. We'll get this plastic wrapper off and then take a peek at what they sent us. And it looks like they packaged this entire deal together in one box. I thought it was going to come in separate boxes, especially considering it's a bundle, but I guess not. And there it is. So there's the bag that comes with the bundle and an accessory box. This here is an accessory box which we'll open in a bit, and this is the bag that comes with the Fly More combo, and it's a very sturdy bag, very well constructed. It's made for the Air 2, and of course it looks like all the stuff is in there, so let's open this up and take a peek inside. And there we go. Aircraft, smart controller, and another accessory box. So we'll just put that accessory box aside. We'll open that in a minute. Here's the smart controller. This is the first time I've ever handled one. And it's hefty. This here is not a chintzy device. No. It's a hefty piece of equipment. It's got these rubber handles on the sides. It's made out of like heavy composite or plastic. There's the antennas, which are nicely tucked underneath. That's the power connection, Type C USB. The flight control knobs, USB and HDMI out. Might even have, is that Type C out? Let's take a look at the aircraft. So this guy is a little bit bigger than I was expecting. It's very sturdy and heavy. They cram a lot of goodies in here. It's much bigger than the Mini, quite a bit bigger than I was expecting. Of course, packaged quite well. They've got these protective stickies on here, which we're going to have to remove together. That's right. If I have to suffer through it, you guys will too. These are all the sensors. Yeah, I think you're going to have to suffer. Oh, yeah. Gotta read these emergency messages. The packaging, of course, it's annoying, but it's necessary. You want a scratched up unit. That there sticker just is an indicator that it has the sensors to sense the other aircraft in the area. The battery is on the top there, and these are motor protectors, which we won't be using anymore. I'm going to save them just in case, though. You never know. So the arms come out just like all the Mavics do. It's all the same. Mini, it's just a bigger version of the Mini, smaller version of the Mavic 2. And of course then there's more sticky protector tape to remove. I wonder if they could set a world record on how many of these pieces of tape they can put on the unit. And I'm suspecting that I got them off the exterior, but there's going to be more on the gimbal. would be my guess. Let's take the gimbal off. And yep, there's more tape. So we'll be kind of careful not to destroy the gimbal removing the protective tape. How awful would that be, huh? Oh. Before we even get to fly it, we broke the gimbal. Yay! No, it's more sturdy than that, but nonetheless, I think we'll be careful with removing this last tape. And, you know, I apologize for you guys that are whining, although I suspect you already fast-forwarded or changed the channel, but, you know, I'm doing unboxing. And when I unbox, I got to take all these stickies off of here. So I told you I was going to do the whole deal with you, and I'm going to do it. So let's put the memory card in, the SD card. It comes with, the unit comes with an embedded 8 gig of memory, but that's not going to be good enough. I'm putting a 64 gig in there. You got to get one of the fast ones too, because this bad boy runs at 4K 60 frames per second. It's got to be 100 megabit per second data rate. Let's start checking the accessory boxes. Of course, it comes with a manual and then quick start, and you know, there's all the stuff in it there. It's not chintzy. Well written, a lot of legal stuff. Good toilet material. Not toilet wiping material, but toilet reading material. The props, I got a whole mess of props. We'll go over that in a little bit. So the Fly More bundle comes with the extra props, but it also comes with these filters, and I've never used the filters, but I could certainly use them. They're good for like real high sunlight. And there's 3 of them for different variations on the levels of sunlight, so perhaps we'll deal with that in another video. These here are going to be the flight stick knobs. We'll put those on later. This is the single charger that comes with the unit for, you know, charging the battery, but I'm not going to be using this because the Fly More combo comes with this wonderful triple battery charger, which is beautiful. This thing, they just do everything nice. You gotta give these guys some credit. It's no joke. We'll charge up the batteries. It's nice. This triple charger charges the weakest first, and then moves to the next weakest, and then the one that has the most charge. So we're going to charge those batteries up, and you know, in preparation for updating the aircraft. And we're going to charge the smart controller also for updating firmware. In the meantime, I think maybe let's fool around with the props. So the props come in 2 types. One has a white strip on them and one does not. And the motors have a white strip on them. 2 motors have a white strip and 2 do not. So on the props, you can see one series of the props has this little white circle on it, and the other one, although I got this one on the wrong side, but and then see the motors with the white strip and with no strip. So we'll put this on the white strip first. You basically just push it in, there's a notch, and then you turn it and it just locks right into place. It's again, incredibly well engineered, very innovative. I know people say, oh, people copy or steal intellectual property. I'm just not sure who stole whose property or whatnot like that, but I haven't seen any better drones out there than what these guys churn out. It's just so nicely constructed. It comes, I mean, look at it. It's like very nice. Anyway, so there we go. Now on smart controller, it has a little knob that helps you navigate, a navigation knob for changing or selections. Take that little rubber protector off of that. That came on there. And pretty much now, with the charged battery, we're ready to update the aircraft. And if you push on the battery, if it has the 4 LED lights, it's fully charged and so forth. So that's how you can tell. Whenever you turn the aircraft on, you want to take your gimbal protector off. We're ready to power this thing on, and we'll see how we go. It turns on, no problem. Now, when it boots up, it's not going to find a controller, so we're going to get flashing yellow lights, which indicates that it has no controller connection and it's not flight ready. So let's power on the controller, and this is the first time for power on here. DJI splash screen. Checking my language. I am unfortunately pretty much a single language guy. You got to connect to Wi-Fi to download the updates and firmware and so forth. So connect to a decent Wi-Fi, and I would connect to a good solid Wi-Fi that goes quick. I'm going to take the props off for safety here. Not that I'm worried about them spinning, because it's not exactly easy to take off, but it's a good safety precaution to do that. So DJI is going to make you log in, which is just fine. I mean, that's how they know who you are, that you're updating your aircraft, and I understand the need for this, and I'm not sensitive to conspiracy theories as far as they're spying on me, so that's fine. I'll log in. And I'm going to update. I'm updating the firmware. You don't want to goof around with it while it's updating the firmware. Let it update. Anybody that knows about updating firmware, it's not a good idea to cut it off in the middle of that. You can get yourself into some issues. So once it's done and it connects to the controller, we activate the aircraft, meaning we connect it, and then we're going to install a firmware update for the smart controller. It's saying 0% here, and I do not have an external SD card in the smart controller, which is why it's not, I think why it's not updating. It's not working. So I put an SD card in the smart controller, and I should have showed that, but I didn't. I ran out of battery. But you can see it works now, or you can't see based upon how blurry that is. But that is a fix for that if you have a problem with it. So once we updated the smart controller, and mind you, again, with the SD card installed is how you defeat any errors with updating the smart controller. So let's go ahead and put the props back on. You can see we've got a green navigation lights there. That means we have a solid connection to our controller. The power on the battery is solid. The power on the remote is good. Let's bring it out and see what we got going. So once we are getting ready for flight, it's going to go through a few things, especially on the initial flight. Whether we want to update data, that kind of stuff. And you're just going to go through these screens here and answer however you personally feel about that, and then we're connected. And as you can see, it's got quite the nice view. I'm going to go through a few of the screens here, not to get into specifics, because obviously there's a lot of different settings. Default settings are pretty good for our first flight. I mean, things you're going to want to look at later, is I think default is 4K 30 frames per second. You might want to upgrade to 4K 60 frames per second, or there's so many different things that you can change, and maybe we'll go into some of that later on. There's tons of people out there that have great videos, and the smart controller does a screen cap where it's easy to navigate and do a whole video showing what you're changing. So there's just a lot of different things, and it's just based upon what you do with the aircraft. So, I mean, I'm not really here looking for anything specific. Mostly return to home, want to make sure it gets up high enough if I lose connection, that if I lose connection, it's really gonna return to home and not just land right where it is. Things like that. But the default on those is already pretty well set for most people's situation. You can change it from metric to imperial. You can change the follow mode or obstacle avoidance to go around something or just stop. You can do things like turning on and off the aircraft warning. Is there aircraft near you? Manned aircraft. So there's tons of cool features that you'll want to peruse, and if you don't know what it does, almost guaranteed somebody's got a video up there explaining it. It's a great community. It's a great hobby. Let's go ahead and take off and see how this guy does, right? It's just like anything. Hold it down, and there we go. And DJI, and by the way, it's extremely windy. I mean, out on the lake, it's like 30 mile an hour wind, 25. It does fine. So I'm in restricted airspace. It's going to make me confirm I have my FAA registration. I know what I'm doing. I take responsibility. And you're willing to upload your telemetry and so forth to DJI, which I am. I don't care. They can look at my video or whatever they want to look at. The restriction probably is because President Trump is maybe around, and I can't fly over his house, but even they put a general area, so you can darken it and everything. So let's just do a fly around and see how it looks. I have it on 60 frames per second, but I'm going to compress it, or when I edit the video here, it's going to go down to 30 because I want it to work with the POV video of unboxing, and I don't know how to make that change mid-edit. But this here's the actual flight, and at 4K 60 frames per second, but you're going to only see it at 4K 30 frames per second because that's what I'm going to output. I don't know what it would do if I output it at 60 on the POV, which is 30 frames per second. But I mean, you can see this video is just spectacular. They say the Mavic, well, this actually has a bigger sensor, I believe, than the Mavic 2 Zoom, but a smaller sensor than the Mavic 2 Pro, but it still does great. And and by the way, you can change it to zoom, and then you can't run 4K 60 frames per second. You can run 4K and 30 if you zoom in, but I'm flying low enough that I don't need to zoom in. So I kept it on like fisheye, which lets you run the 60 frames per second. And I'm not running sport mode, I'm running regular. And I'm kind of not full throttle. I mean, I get nervous a little bit here and there. There's so many birds too. Matt is getting hit by one of these darn birds. I spook and I lose my brand new drone, which might be a good reason to get the Care, the DJI Care. They'll replace your drone at a reasonable price. And you know, this is a good idea to zoom around here and see if we see a alligator in the lake, or a giant death python. Yeah, you can see the boat tracks. Look at that. Going through the weeds. This dude's trolling around looking for fishes. They should get a drone. But this thing handles like a beauty. I mean, and it's breezy out. This side of the lake isn't catching as much of the wind because it's coming out of the north. I mean, it handles the sun. I don't have a filter on it, and it seems it's not washing out really. I mean, a little bit there, you know, it seemed to wash out a bit. And I lowered the brightness a bit, but it seems to handle. I mean, I'm gonna fool with those filters because I'm in South Florida and it's always sunny. Well, not always, but often sunny. And you know, see how those filters do. I mean, it comes with what, just, you know, clear lens protector. Why is there no alligators? That's what I really need. See the alligator and sport around. Certainly, I mean, all these ducks and stuff, there's probably no alligators around. Ducks don't loiter around where alligators are going to chomp them. And there's no good tall weeds. You know, the alligators like to hide in the big tall weeds because, you know, they got to breathe while they're taking their nap. Right? This thing just flies so nice. And the video is just so crisp. I mean, I would love to get one of these Evo 2s, the Auto, I think it is, and compare. I mean, you know, some people are saying that it's a comparable deal. I just don't know if they're making drones right now, if you can even get them, or they're on a waiting list. I'm not sure. But, man, it's a tall order to beat this, especially the price range. I mean, that kit right there is $1,300. How do you beat that? All this stuff. That smart controller is sweet. It's I mean, it's really nice stuff. I mean, I'm just thinking, honestly, it seems like it's worth more than that. I hate to say it because I don't want them raising the prices. I mean, would I have been willing to pay more? I don't know, because I don't, you know, have unlimited money. I mean, if it was more money, I would maybe not buy it because I just don't have the money, you know, to spend. And I mean, this was definitely, you know, a big purchase. So let's go ahead and go skyward here to wrap this up, guys. I don't know. I mean, if anybody's still watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoy watching everybody else's videos. And that's why I do this. I mean, I do it same reason everybody else does it, to give back to the community, to the YouTube community. And that's it. Here's a final view from our beautiful lake with this awesome Mavic Air 2. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.